Have you ever felt like you're behind in life, stuck on autopilot while it seems like everyone else is making moves, getting ahead? What if I told you one of the biggest things holding you back isn't the economy, not your boss, not the fact that you're not overemployed, but the outdated programming running in your own head? Reading Disrupt You hit me hard. I'm a new dad. I've tried a couple of solopreneurship stunts, but I realized I was running on outdated mental software. Like Hormozi says, when you read a book and listen to the audiobook, it is a force multiplier. And that's how I squeezed every insight out of this book. This book, Disrupt You, is one of the fundamental books I've read in disrupting your internal programming, your mindset, and belief patterns. It's not just a concept that's vital for entrepreneurship or what you want to do in life. It's really, as a new dad, anyone wanting to challenge their own thinking. Now, Samit argues that to truly break free, you need to disrupt yourself, your thinking, and your skills. Again, why should you listen to this guy? He's not just a guru. He's one of the guys who sold some ideas to Steve Jobs, helped influence the iTunes industry music revolution. He's also transformed massive markets, made millions, and he knows what it takes to get the brutal facts of getting results. So I've spent some time with the book, kind of distilling its information as a management consultant and enterprise data strategy, and also focusing on OCM, organization change management. I really dabble in kind of helping, Fortune 500 companies make the changes they need. And really, I wanted to bring my knowledge and learnings from consulting to kind of instill what I make for this channel and what this video is going to be about. As I mentioned, I have some AI tool stacks that I use that I share on this channel, and really this is the output of using some of those to hopefully bring the messages and distill the golden nuggets into this video. So there's going to be 4 topics we're covering that Samit mentions in this book, and what's going to be distilled is kind of what the topics cover and an action plan so that you can implement this in your own life. Samit's message aligns with some of the old facts. Do not go where the path may lead, but go instead where there is no path and leave a trail. Really challenging us to be a trailblazer, not just by following, being a follower, but starting by questioning the obvious. So the first topic I bring up, and one of the most important, is the critical concept of self-disruption. So a lot of times I say one of the biggest wars you'll fight in your life, the biggest battles, is your own mindset and self-limiting beliefs. It's almost like this parasitic concept, parasitic mindset in your brain that kind of tells you you can't do it and stuff of that nature. And in this book, he really challenges you to go against that mindset to break out of the ordinary. Now, one of the guys I follow, Hormozi, kind of the author of the book 100 Million Offers, says one of the brutal facts is staring back at you in the mirror, and it's your internal barriers and assumptions. So I like to call this the comfort graveyards, and it's really where your potential, energy, your concepts, they all go to die. And it's the fear of failure, nagging, doubt, and like I mentioned before, I can't do this voice. Invisible scripts, programs running in your mind that's making you stuck in life. And as soon as you can overcome that, you'll be on your way. One of the main things I like doing in this channel is going from good to great years. So this is the first enemy you have to conquer. Building on that concept of invisible walls, it's calling like I play some video games on my Blood Logic Tech channel. If you ever played Oblivion, there's that NPC that's like, stop right there, criminal scum. And for me, newborn, kind of running through these challenges of limited time. One of the things that's helped me break past some of these time challenges is using AI to kind of automate my workflow. So I'll go into that in my channel. Be sure to take a look at some of the other videos as I'm going to be producing more content. So how do we practically apply this self-disruption, disrupt you concepts from the book? Broke it down into what Samit mentioned is a 3-step playbook. It's about action, style, Hormozi, no fluff. So really, first you got to do is just identify some of your internal barriers, some of the things where you're like, I'm not good enough to do this or do that. What stops you from getting there? You got to name it, put it down in a list. It's confronting you. The second is to really isolate, dig deep. Another YouTube influencer I use, Ali Abdal, says that with this system, how do the barriers, where do they really come from? What is the true fear coming, or is it just an echo from a previous influence, like a parent, teacher who told you you couldn't do anything? And really, third is to incinerate with action. Like, take one small step, pretend that the limitation isn't there, and just go against, that fear, and just test it out. One small thing each day for a week to try to get over that old parasitic mindset. So knowledge isn't power until it's applied. Identify that block, figure it out, and just do it. Volume and iteration win. So if this is hitting home for you, you want to dive deeper into learnings from books, other YouTube influencers on self-improvement, hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to drop knowledge like this all the time. So the next concept here we're going to be is challenging your thinking. Really, a lot of times Hormozi says if your results suck, your thinking probably sucks. And really, that I feel runs true in most of what I see from other people, kind of limited by their self-beliefs. So Samit would argue that, in this concept I call parasitic programming, most of us are under this invisible script, this mental prison, and really you just got to try to break free. There's blind spots in here that you need to dive deeper into questioning and breaking from the mold. So Samit says, as he disrupted the music industry, obviously now we use Spotify 2025, but back then when people were going into stores buying physical CDs, he really revolutionized the idea, pitching to Steve Jobs, hey, iTunes could revolutionize, buying songs and albums online. And so, in this hockey concept, you're not looking at, where the puck has been, but where it's going. And that's how Summit really challenges the ideas of where the future holds for most people. So how do we start challenging our own thinking? Really the practical things in this book, I highly recommend reading and of course getting the audiobook, but there's 5 whys, kind of, based on what I've seen from Tony Robbins, is just questioning, why your beliefs are the way they are. So when I started Blend Logic, one of the first things that I think a lot of people overcome in making a YouTube channel or whatever you want to do. One of my friends kind of had this whole concept of travel life, all this stuff, dug 5 levels deep into what he needed, and really it comes down to taking action. So people could always hype themselves up in research, but then never take the action. For me, when I was making YouTube videos, it was like I need an expensive camera, stuff of that nature. And so really the action here is just doing the Socratic questioning and asking yourself why you need to, why it is that you need the things you say you need. So the next part is skill stacking, and it's not about being 10% better at one thing, but having a force multiplier effect of taking multiple things together. So similar to what Hormozi says in 100 Million Offers, when you stack value on your offers, you can make that grand slam offer that people can't resist. So here in the disruptive toolkit idea, one of the concepts of the last book I did in Good to Great, that was all AI, but now I'm doing voiceovers, is being disruptive in your kind of stack, making value. So apply the hedgehog concept, which is basically focusing on your strength, and then layer in other things you could combine together. So the last kind of approach is innovating how you present yourself, basically. And don't just go about it doing the same things the old way, but find new ways to tackle the problem. And I'm going to give some key kind of mental models, mental frameworks to do this execution. So as we dive into this 4th strategy, it kind of reminds me of the Matrix of just like learning a bunch of things, also what we just learned, and kind of building your value stack. So in that approach, there's a lot of things you could think of from other concepts, other ideas, similar to maybe concepts in farming with crop rotation, and then applying that to what you can do in your own life and your own stack. So as you use this book as a powerful toolkit, one of the things I want to remind you is kind of just any of these ideas, take it to heart. I gave you a lot of practical examples. We're trying to 10x our life and go from good to great. Innovation comes at a day-to-day. He likes to give examples of being a scientist in your own life and experimenting. So as you run these small experiments, like literally the list idea or stuff like that, it could really be a new way to kind of get more value from your life. And practically speaking, if you guys run a business, this could be from even experimenting on things like a new pricing model, new distribution method. So really, I'd like to see what you guys come up with. Leave a comment on some of the exercises if you've done them, what the outcomes were. Sharing with the community is a great way to kind of encourage others to do the same. I'll see you guys in the next video.